Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So we'll continue on the liabilities of whiteness. And again, this is my opinion, my truth, my experiences, being 55 years on this planet as a so-called white woman. And one of the liabilities of whiteness that I have had to think about pretty deeply is that whiteness hinders our ability to have empathy and compassion for all human beings. This is part of almost the loyalty to white supremacy, is that when you're in a racial hierarchy and you are perceived at the top of that hierarchy as whiteness is perceived, right, to have this perceived superiority, and everyone else is on the bottom or underneath, so to speak, if we're sort of thinking about it as a top-down hierarchy of a racial caste system, that this system of white supremacy emboldens us and justifies us to think, again, that we are superior, that we're better than other human beings that are not white or who we decide are white, and how this hinders our compassion and ability to empathize with all people. And like I said, it's almost as justified in a sense that we can look down on, that we cannot see other people as humans. And that is what the system does. It dehumanizes everyone. And this is, a tactic of the military that they have realized, right? How are you going to get human beings to kill other human beings when that's not in our nature? It's not who we are. We are filled with too much compassion and empathy, right? Some of us won't even kill a bug. And in order to be able to desensitize people in the military, and I don't know exactly how this training is done, but I can just tell by the history and understanding military training and the wars that we have been in since I've been alive, the dehumanization of the so-called enemy, the names that we use for the human beings, from World War II, the Vietnam War. Again, the racial slurs that were used to dehumanize who we deemed as the enemy. And whiteness does that and justifies that dehumanization of Black people, dehumanizes Indigenous people, erases Indigenous people. But how does that manifest in your own life? Right? If we have this racial hierarchy and the role of whiteness is to dehumanize everyone else so you can justify the horrors and the terror and the killings and the genocide that we have committed as white people in this country for 400 years. But what does that do to us? What did that do to me? To be able to squelch my compassion and my ability to empathize with everyone when I would see someone who was in need, was hurting, was hungry, that I could so easily walk away, that I could so easily turn my head when I'm sitting in the car and I go up to a red light and I can see this human being outside my vehicle with maybe a sign and maybe talking maybe asking for help. And I turn the other way. Maybe I ignore them. And I justify it somehow to have no empathy or compassion for that person who is in need, who needs me. And whiteness allows that. Whiteness justifies that. To hinder our ability to empathize and be compassionate for all human beings is so... I feel like I could talk about this forever. White supremacy suppresses our humanity. It suppresses our humanity, and again, we don't have the level of empathy and compassion that we would have if this system of racial hierarchy and oppression and terrorism was not in place. We would be totally different people. And so much of every day, as you strive to be anti-racist and strive to sort of decolonize yourself and to move away from this structure, to rebuild that empathy, to rebuild that compassion. And most of that rebuilding of empathy and compassion is actually for yourself, because you have to feel that empathy and compassion for yourself. You have to love yourself before you can actually empathize and have compassion for anybody else. And that's another thing that, again, this system takes away from us. It really doesn't give us the love and the permission to love ourselves, the permission to have compassion for ourselves. And that's why I think it's so hard, or maybe so easy, to not have empathy and compassion for other people. When we talk about refugees, when we talk about language of aliens, these are human beings. These are human beings. When we think about people who are crossing the border, migrants that are coming here, again, if you know your history and you understand what's going on in their countries, why they are being forced to leave their homes. What would it take you to leave your home with your children on foot to walk away? But see, we live in such safety, in most cases, many white people, and live in a comfort that we don't even have any idea. Don't have any idea. And whiteness justifies not even to think about it and to say horrific things and use horrific language. That's on us. That is on us. When we say something about another human being that is experiencing things that we don't have to experience because of this system, and then we have no compassion and empathy for that person, that's not who I want to be. That is not who I want to be as a mother, as a wife. That is just not who I want to be. And so I strive every day to have empathy and compassion for myself and for everyone around me, to fill my heart with love and peace for everyone, every human being, all 8 billion of us on the planet. Oh, there's a little buggy on me. Oh, it's a little, what is that? It's like a little cricket. See, I have to have love and compassion even for this little buggy that's tickling me. Thank you, everyone.